Hi, and welcome to Bias Decoder. I hope you enjoy the video. If so, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you.
January 5, 2026. Nicolás Maduro appeared in a New York courtroom. The man who was president of Venezuela 48 hours earlier now faced narco-terrorism charges. He pleaded not guilty and called himself a prisoner of war. 5 news outlets covered the same court hearing but told 5 completely different stories about what it meant. The facts everyone agrees on. Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, appeared before Judge Alvin Hellerstein in Manhattan Federal Court. They pleaded not guilty to narco-terrorism conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, and weapons charges. Maduro said he was kidnapped from his home in Caracas and is a prisoner of war. His wife said she's still First Lady of Venezuela. His lawyer, Barry Pollock, signaled they'll challenge the legality of the military abduction. Next court date is March 17th. No bail was requested. Fox News framed this as a narco-lord finally facing justice. Their coverage emphasized Maduro's narco-terrorism charges and the maximum sentence of life in prison. They featured Trump's statement that America is in charge of Venezuela and highlighted the 16 oil tankers that left Venezuelan waters immediately after Maduro's capture, carrying 12 million barrels of crude. Fox treated this as a law enforcement operation, not military aggression. A dangerous criminal was apprehended and will face trial. They focused on the charges against Maduro's son, Nicolás Maduro Guerra, who remains free in Venezuela, framing it as a criminal enterprise spanning the family. Fox's narrative justified the military operation as necessary law enforcement against narco-terrorism. NPR covered constitutional and legal questions. They focused on whether a sitting head of state can be prosecuted in another country's courts. Their coverage highlighted Maduro's attorney signaling challenges to the legality of his military abduction and potential arguments about sovereign immunity. CNN featured legal experts discussing unprecedented nature of capturing a sitting president and bringing him to trial. They emphasized this wasn't a normal extradition, it was a military raid. CNN questioned whether the charges justify violating Venezuelan sovereignty and removing a head of state by force. Their narrative focused on rule of law concerns and whether the U.S. acted legally under international law. NPR called it a kidnapping and illegal abduction. Their coverage emphasized Maduro declaring, "I am innocent, I am still president of my country." They featured his defense attorney calling it a military abduction that will be challenged as illegal. Al Jazeera covered protesters in New York chanting, "Release Maduro right now," and "Hands off Venezuela's oil." They covered Venezuela's government ordering immediate search and capture of everyone involved in promoting the U.S. attack. Al Jazeera framed Trump's Monroe Doctrine language as imperial ambition. Their narrative positioned this as American imperialism seizing oil resources under the guise of drug enforcement.
PBS focused on what comes next for Venezuela. Their coverage emphasized Delcy Rodriguez being sworn in as interim president and whether she'll cooperate with U.S. demands. They featured Trump warning Venezuela's new leader to cooperate or pay a very big price. PBS highlighted confusion about whether the U.S. plans to occupy Venezuela or just control its oil. They covered Hungary's Prime Minister Orbán calling Venezuelan oil reserves becoming available good news for energy markets. PBS framed this as a story about American power projection and what it means for global order. Their narrative questioned the precedent of powerful nations removing leaders through military force, then threatening successors. Here's what none of them deeply explored. Trump posted, "This is our hemisphere," on the State Department's social media. The U.S. moved to seize Venezuelan oil immediately after capturing Maduro. Trump explicitly said America will tap Venezuela's vast oil reserves. This isn't about narco-terrorism, it's about resources. Venezuela has the world's largest proven oil reserves. The charges against Maduro existed since 2020, but weren't acted on until Trump needed a justification. The timing reveals the real motivation. Same courtroom, same hearing, 5 completely different stories. Fox told you drug dealer facing justice, law and order restored. CNN told you constitutional crisis, legal questions about sovereign immunity. NPR told you international condemnation, dangerous precedent for global order. Al Jazeera told you illegal kidnapping, American imperialism for oil. PBS told you geopolitical uncertainty, what happens next in Venezuela. Each outlet selected facts serving their narrative. Drug trafficking charges are real. The military raid is real. Maduro's claims of kidnapping are real. But the story each told serves different audiences and different power structures. Subscribe to Bias Decoder for weekly breakdowns of how media manufactures reality from the same facts.